You get peace of mind at a price you can afford. And MetaShare is trusted too. It's been around 30 years. It's not some big impersonal thing. It's a community of people helping each other, business owners, pastors, retirees. People love it. MetaShare 65 Plus just makes sense. To learn more, give them a call. They're great to talk to. They'll offer to pray with you each time you call too. Call now, 833-SHARE-55. That's 833-SHARE 55. 833-SHARE-55.
Rocket 1025.
With your updated forecast, I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Weatherology Weather Center. Mainly sunny skies today with daytime highs approaching 89. Northwesterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies again tonight. Lows level off around 52. Highs level off around 81 tomorrow. Mainly clear skies. Daytime highs approaching 86 Saturday under mainly sunny skies. 73 Sunday. A peek at the extended shows, 69 Monday, 62 Tuesday, and 71 on Wednesday. Another look at the short range, a high of 89 today. We should dip down to around 52 tonight. Highs reach 81 tomorrow. Get up to the minute weather updates from the Weatherology Weather Center. I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley on this NWKS radio station. Currently 47.
There is nothing in this world that's scarier than having me sing to you. Know what else is scary? If you're hiring and need to find the right person for the role quickly. Well, now you no longer have to be afraid. That's because there's ZipRecruiter. Its matching technology finds qualified candidates fast. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Bob. You can invite top candidates for your job to apply and encourage them to apply sooner. ZipRecruiter is the hiring site employers prefer the most based on G2. When it comes to hiring fast, fear not, just use ZipRecruiter. See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And if you go to ZipRecruiter.com/Bob right now, you can try it for free. That's the same price as a dog in a tiny pumpkin costume or a group of cute little witches and superheroes trick-or-treating. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/Bob. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio is the place to turn to weekdays for the latest agriculture news and markets. Being a member of the National Association of Farm Broadcasters, we take pride in making sure you're informed of the latest news from the world of agriculture. Whether it's local, state, regional, or national, if it affects your farm or ranch, you can count on hearing it here. Daily reports from Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio are made possible by Farmers State Bank, Norder Supply of Scott City, Cornerstone Ag, and Woofter Construction and Irrigation.
The one hail of a sale continues at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Get huge savings on not just lightly hailed on vehicles, but also ones that don't have hail or have had the hail fixed. For example, a 24 GMC Sierra 1500 Denali with no hail up to $7,000 off when you're a loyal Buick or GMC owner, now just over $68,000. A 24 Chevy Tahoe RST with hail up to $14,000 off, now just $58,000. It's one hail of a sale, and it continues at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas, online at hurlchev.com.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery ingestion and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
At FNB Bank, we know family comes first. Whether you're opening a savings account for your kids, buying a new home, or planning for the future, we're here to help every step of the way. With personalized service and flexible options, we make banking easy for your growing family. FNB Bank, serving families, strengthening communities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The one hail of a sale continues at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Get huge savings on not just lightly hailed on vehicles, but also ones that don't have hail or have had the hail fixed. How about a 2024 GMC Sierra 1500 SLE with hail up to $13,000 off when trading in an eligible vehicle, now only $49,000. A 24 Chevy Tahoe RST with hail up to $14,000 off, now just $58,000. It's one hail of a sale, and it continues at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas, online at hurlchev.com.
Hi, my name is Joseph Schrick. I'm a member of the Abilene Hustlers 4-H Club. This is National 4-H Week. 4-H is a youth program for kids 7 to 18. You can participate in a number of different projects, including foods, horse, swine, sheep, small animals, reading, rocketry, visual arts, and much more. The mission of 4-H is to grow better citizens and leaders, all while making the best better. Join us this year by contacting the Thomas County Extension Office at 785-460-4582.
October is National Cooperative Month. Midwest Energy is a customer-owned cooperative, meaning everyone who takes service is a part owner. You vote to choose your board of directors, and you share in the economic success of the co-op. Like all co-ops, Midwest Energy promotes growth in our communities through employee involvement, by supporting schools, and through the Midwest Community Fund.
Ball, it all starts up front. Mass kicks ass.
The region's only local sports talk.
Listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5. Simulcasting on Goodland's 730 Gold KLOE.
Guy is everywhere.
Discussing it all from the preps.
Showtime for the Lady Eagles.
To the pros.
McKinnon is in at running back. First down and goal to go. Play action fake. Right side throw. Touchdown. Kansas City.
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work. Torkelson turns on it down the left field line. That's fair and to the wall. Cole Keith will score. Spencer Torkelson makes it 3-0 Tigers.
The 2-1. Lindor towards right center field. This one is back. It is gone! Grand slam! And the door puts the Mets on top. The biggest swing of the season.
Right on the nose. Soto in pursuit. Dives and he gets by him. It's going to tie the game. Isbell comes home. Massey around second, looking for a triple. And he's in there.
1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss! The incredible turnaround by the New York Mets has taken them to their first National League Championship Series in 9 years.
And good Thursday morning. Welcome inside the Morning Blitz. Here on this October the 10th, 51 degrees outside to get our morning going on our way to a toasty 88. Like I mentioned yesterday, though, warmer temperatures for the next few days, but cooling down in the foreseeable future. Well, we will see temperatures in the 60s, it looks like, starting for Sunday, Monday at some point in time. So look forward to those cooler temperatures, that is for sure. But so glad you're with us here on the Morning Blitz, no matter if you're joining us through Goodland's Rocket 102.5 or 730 Gold KLOE. Also, of course, online at nwksradio.net. The Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream as well. We are broadcasting live on all those entities here today, and glad to be with you here on this Thursday, where today we will be talking a little bit of MLB postseason, as we do have a team already clinching a spot in the NLCS. The Mets moving on over the Phillies, a Francisco Lindor grand slam gets them on to the NLCS. We will talk a little bit about the Royals, who dropped a game to, of course, the Yankees last night in a tight 1-3-2. We'll get to all Major League Baseball and that kind of postseason update coming up in our third segment today. Our friend from Heartland College Sports, that's Joe Tillery. He will join us coming up at the bottom of the hour. A huge game facing the Kansas State Wildcats in Boulder this week, and we'll talk with Joe about that and some other topics as well in the sports world. So Joe Tillery will stop by the program here in about 20 minutes or so. Also, we have, like I said, plenty of things to get to. It is a busy day in local sports. Lots of volleyball going on today. You'll notice, at least on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream, wearing my pink shirt as it is pink out night for the Goodland Cowgirl volleyball team as they welcome in Colby and Scott City for a GWAC triangular. We'll have coverage of those matches right here on Rocket 102.5 with the first match of the day, Goodland taking on Scott City. That will be at around 3:30 Mountain Time is when that first serve will take place. But there's plenty of other volleyball going on. Oakley has a triangular today with Heartland Christian Smith Center. Decatur Community's at Trigo. Got Golden Plains has a try with Wallace County and Weston. Hoxie's going to be taking on Trigo and Peaburg. I'm going to combine the two. What would that be? Treburg? But Trigo and Phillipsburg and Hoxie meetings are for some volleyball today. Speaking of Peaburg, they're hosting a cross-country invite today. They'll have Colby and Oakley going and competing there. Speaking of Colby Community College volleyball, another easy win last night as the Lady Trojans swept Butler Community College at the Event Center 25-14, 25-11, 25-13. Give Colby now 5 consecutive wins after just their second loss of the season. They are now 19-2, 9-1 in the Jayhawk. Colby's got a whole week to get prepared for their next match, which is against Barton. I think the number 5th ranked team in the polls. And so that's going to be it was a very interesting matchup going into that. Colby got beat. We'll see if Colby makes any adjustments in the second meeting. Will be a little bit more difficult playing down at Barton. But that's what's on the docket for CCC volleyball with a huge match a week from yesterday down there north of Great Bend. So, yeah, we got lots of stuff to get to on today's program, and it is a Thursday, so that means that we've got to dive into the NFL Power 5 for what is week number 6 in the NFL season, and so let's get into it. I don't know if it's a great week or not. We'll find out more here in the coming days. Honorable mention game goes to a game in the NFC South. The Buccaneers at 3-2 taking on the Saints, who are 2-3. Both teams in the middle of that race in the NFC South. Actually, Tampa Bay behind Atlanta, and then New Orleans could possibly jump ahead of them with a win here on Sunday is when this game takes place. Look, Baker Mayfield has found a home there at Tampa. I think that's something to keep in mind is that, Baker Mayfield was kind of forgotten about a little bit, but he has found a home there at Tampa Bay, and he is playing very, very well. 11 touchdowns to just 2 picks for Baker Mayfield at this point in time in the season. The Saints are banged up after losing to the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. They have announced that they're going to be going with the third-string quarterback. I find this interesting. Spencer Rattler will get the start. Jake Haener was the one who came in and backed up Derek Carr. And I've not read anything or seen anything that says that Haener's hurt or anything like that, but they're going to go with the third stringer and the rookie Spencer Rattler in this game. So an intrigue there. Could we see possibly a next good professional quarterback in Spencer Rattler? I don't know. But there's always that intrigue, that first game. Everyone's great their first game, at least before the ball is snapped. But you've got the Saints at home taking on Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers, who are a very good team. But I think the Saints are a good team as well if they could just put it back together like they were the first few weeks of the season. But Saints and Bucks, game number, I should say my honorable mention game this week in the NFL Power 5. All right, on to the top 5 games I got my eye on here, starting with
number 5.
So I'm going to say regional here and go with the Broncos at home hosting the Chargers. How about this? You got the Chargers, who started off the season 3-0 with wins over the Cowboys, the Raiders, and the Panthers. While the Broncos went what was 0-2 to start the season, losses to the Seahawks and the Steelers. Since those games, the Chargers have lost 2 in a row, falling to the Steelers and the Chiefs, while the Broncos have rattled off 3 wins over the Buccaneers, the Jets, and the Raiders. So you kind of see these two teams kind of going in opposite directions to start the season, and now they're changing, going the other way. That's what it's kind of looking at this point in time. You've got a very good defensive team in San Diego. They are at least the number 1 scoring defense in the NFL, going against the number 2 scoring defense in the NFL in the Denver Broncos. So 2 very elite defenses facing off against each other at this point in time, at least when it comes to points per game allowed. Part of that has to do with the fact that the Chargers just don't score a lot of points because of the offensive style that they have. But Bo Nix has turned it around a little bit, coming off his best game of the season. And so intrigued to see Bo Nix and what he can bring to this game coming up here. Chargers and Broncos is my number 5 game in the NFL Power 5 here for week number 6.
Number 4.
Number 4, we're going to tonight's game. Thursday night football. You've got the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. San Francisco's banged up. They're missing, of course, Christian McCaffrey. They've got other injuries that are holding their team back. I mean, George Kittle's been a little dinged up for a while. Seattle stayed healthy, and they've looked pretty good. Geno Smith's thrown for close to 1,500 yards already. 5 touchdowns, but 4 picks at this point in time. But this game here, a lot on the line in what is a semi-tight race in the NFC West. San Francisco and Arizona are tied at 2-3. Seattle's just a game above them at 3-2. This is the first divisional game, though, for Seattle, who comes into this game once again with 1 game above 500. But San Francisco taking on Seattle. That game intrigues me just because you got a little NFC West. And I think both these teams are very evenly matched. That's what I would say. And both very good defensive teams as well. You got a Seattle team that's got a kind of a new identity to an extent with their head coach. I want to say Mike McDaniel, I think is his name. But yeah, they've done a good job defensively at this point in time. And the San Francisco 49ers also a pretty good defensive team led by Fred Warner. So I like the way this team is kind of put together. And both these teams put together defensively, but offensively maybe a little struggling. But I think it creates for a good game. And Seattle is a 3.5-point favorite on the road. It's kind of a big spread. But we'll see what happens here on Thursday Night Football tonight on Prime Video. San Francisco at Seattle. Number 4 on the NFL Power 5.
Number 3.
All right, going to Monday Night Football now, where the New York Jets are at home hosting the Buffalo Bills. Look, this game I want to watch simply because the Jets are, have this whole storyline all week. They've gobbled up the headlines, at least on ESPN, with Robert Saleh getting fired, and then taking the new the defensive coordinator, making him the head coach. Does that spark anything in this Jets team, who I think has a very good defense? I mean, coming into this game, the Jets defense are 5th in points allowed, and they're 2nd in yards allowed per game. They're a very good defense. Aaron Rodgers and the offense needs to kick it into gear. I don't know if they're going to do that, but does this coaching change spark something for New York, or does it completely fall in a heap? That's an intrigue. Does Josh Allen bounce back and the Bills bounce back after a tough loss on the road at Houston? That's another thing. And think about it. A great defense in New York taking on a great offense in Buffalo should make for a very entertaining matchup and game. So that's why this game is number 3. Buffalo at New York. Buffalo currently a 2.5-point favorite going into Monday night at this point in time.
Number 2.
Second best game of the week, I think, is going to be on Sunday afternoon when the Cowboys host the Lions. I don't know what to make of the Cowboys. I really don't. At times, they look great, like they did in the dominating win over the Browns to open up the season. They've played 2 lackluster teams the last 2 weeks and won by a combined 8 points over the Giants and the Steelers. I don't think either of those teams are that great. But the Cowboys have coming off back-to-back wins, and they now have a winning record at 3-2. While the Lions, who are 3-1, coming off a bye, if I'm not mistaken, or have already had their bye. Yeah, they're coming off a bye. Now should be well rested and ready to charge into the rest of the season. Once again, I think Detroit is a Super Bowl talented and contending team this year. They have all the pieces they need at all, offense, defense, special teams. They have it all. But you're going to Dallas, where the Cowboys do find to play a little bit better, at least it seems like more consistently at times, even though the last 2 games would not prove that with losses to the Saints and the Ravens. But I feel like they play better at home. But the Lions are a good team. And once again, there is a good team there's a talented, at least high price team in Dallas, and you have a solid, good team in Detroit. I think that should make for a good game. Right now, Detroit 3-point favorite on the road. A lot of road favorites so far this week in week 6 of the NFL Power 5. And then on to
number 1.
Number 1, you've got a very interesting game quarterback-wise. And to me, this is the most intriguing game of the week. I don't know if it's going to be that close of a game. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Right now, it's a 6.5-point favorite as the Ravens host the Commanders of Washington. Look, I think Baltimore is one of the more talented teams in the NFL. I think they have everything that you would want if you're putting a team together. I think they have a good defense. I think that they have a very good quarterback in Lamar Jackson. He has weapons to throw the ball to, whether it's Likely or whoever else you want to throw out there. They've got lots of other pretty decently talented players to get the ball to. And then, of course, Derrick Henry to run the ball, which they have figured out how to get him going a little bit better over the last couple of weeks. So the last week, maybe a step in the wrong direction. Still, though, I'd say they've got him going in the right direction with Derrick Henry now averaging close to 6 yards per carry. So that's a good thing to see. So you have that going for you with the Ravens, who I think have a very complete team, offense and defense, although Justin Tucker especially has struggled in special teams here, which is very rare for him, how great he's been over the course of his career. But the Ravens, I think, are right up there with the Chiefs, in my opinion, as one of the more talented teams in the AFC. And then you've got this upstart Washington team, which I don't know if anybody would have thought that they'd be 4-1 at this point in time in the season. Now, they lost to the Buccaneers to begin the season, but since then they've played the Giants, who are not good, the Bengals, who have struggled mightily despite being a pretty talented team, the Cardinals, who I think are maybe better than people thought, but still not good, and the Browns. So they haven't faced anybody since the Buccaneer game, really. So this will be a great test for them. And, of course, everyone is talking about the rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels. Over 1,100 yards passing, just 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. He doesn't have just unbelievable numbers. He doesn't. But he does take care of the football, and that's very, very big and important. So that is good. So this game to me, it's the quarterback matchup to me that really entices me in this contest. Daniels, Jackson. They kind of play a little bit similar. I know they've asked this week, Jaden Daniels, how much he compares his game to Lamar's. I don't know if I totally see that. Lamar, to me, is a freak. He is a guy that is just unbelievably athletic, and despite being a fantastic running quarterback, he still has a great passer of the football. Jaden Daniels is a very good running quarterback and is a good passer of the football too. I don't think at this point in time, it's too early to tell in his career. I just don't think that he's on the same level at this point in time as Lamar, but he could be possibly in the years to come. But I'm very impressed with Jaden Daniels. I mean, many people have left this Washington franchise, have left it for dead. The stadium's falling apart. They've changed their nickname how many years now out of the last 5? It's just kind of been deal. But this quarter, you get a quarterback and everything changes. It's just the way it is. You get a quarterback, the most important position in all of sports. All of a sudden, things change, and your weapons that you thought were not that good actually kind of are kind of good, and everything just kind of starts to fall into place behind it. And Washington now looks like they have a quarterback. If they can find a way to keep him happy and healthy, they have a chance at having some good success. So this is an very intriguing matchup to me with Jaden Daniels, who's like up and coming, more than right now, the clear candidate to be the rookie of the year, the very clear candidate to be the rookie of the year. And then Lamar Jackson, who has been the 2-time MVP. And who knows, maybe Jaden Daniels could be the MVP of the NFC. We'll see. I don't know, maybe this is 2 MVPs, and if AFC and NFC facing off today. We don't know that. I think that's going to be a stretch, in my opinion. Still, though, a very intriguing game between the Commanders and the Ravens. Right now, Baltimore, a 6.5-point favorite. It makes sense. They're at home. They are the more complete, talented team. But boy, that hasn't stopped Jaden Daniels from pulling off a big upset like against Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Although, once again, I don't know what you consider the Bengals this year with the amount of problems their defense is having, and their offense can't score enough points because their defense can't stop anybody. So, yeah, certainly interesting. But, yeah, Commanders, Ravens, number 1 on the NFL Power 5. So, all right, I've got Buccaneers, Saints as my honorable mention game and recapping. You got Chargers, Broncos, which I think will be a very interesting game in the AFC West at number 5. San Francisco, Seattle, tonight's game on Prime Video at number 4. Monday Night Football's New York Jets taking on the Buffalo Bills at number 3. And then the Cowboys and the Lions will be the game number 2 with the Cowboys hosting the Lions, and then Baltimore taking on the Ravens in what is my number one game this week in the NFL. Some of the other games this week, in case you're just curious, you've got Jaguars at the Bears, which that game also semi-intrigues me, especially if the Jaguars can find a way to, I don't know, play better like they did last week, especially Trevor Lawrence. It could be a good quarterback matchup, possibly. Browns, Eagles, Titans, Colts, Texans, Patriots. Could see Drake May take the field for the first time. Like we're going to see Drake May take the field for the first time, the starting quarterback to the Patriots. I don't know if that's going to result in anything good taking on the Texans. That'll be hard. Cardinals, Packers. I still don't know what to make of that Cardinal team, but I really love watching Kyler Murray play football. He's one of those very interesting pieces. Steelers and Raiders. Not really great one there. Falcons, Panthers. Not a great one there either. Bengals, Giants. Boy, there's a turd bowl, isn't it? On Sunday Night Football, Bengals, Giants. It's like, which one of those teams can get the win that desperately needs the win? There you go. Your slate of Week 6 here in the NFL with our NFL Power 5. So, all right, let's get to a break. We're right at around 4 minutes till the bottom of the hour. Here on this Thursday, October 10th, we're working our way to a high of 88 today, and we will be currently sitting at 51 degrees at this point in time. When we come back, Joe Tillery is going to join the show, our good friend from Heartland College Sports. Talk to him about a big game coming up in Boulder between the Wildcats and the Buffaloes, and much more. That's next here on the Morning Blitz.
Even though your attention has turned back to school with events and activities, you just can't forget everything going on at home. That's where your local Hoover Lumber Ace hardware stores in Goodland and Colby come in. Keep the lawn in check with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. They are still your local Benjamin Moore paint retailer, and they still have that amazing selection of outdoor grills and griddles from Traeger, Weber, and Blackstone. Plus, their helpful and knowledgeable staffs are some of the best in the Northwest. It's all at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby. Open every day but Sunday.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning, this is Pete Thompson with the Anderson Trade Group. Today is Thursday, October 10th. And on the overnight last night, beef corn lower a quarter cent to 4.20 3/4. March unchanged at 4.38. May unchanged at 4.47 1/4. And July down a quarter cent at 4.53. November soybeans down 3 cents on the overnight at 10.17 1/4. January down 3 1/4 at 10.33 3/4. March down 2 3/4 at 10.48 3/4. And May down 2 cents at 10.63 1/2. Chicago wheat, the December contract higher 4 cents from the overnight at 6.03. March up 4 1/4 at 6.26 1/2. May up 4 cents at 6.38 3/4. And July up 3 1/2 at 6.45. Kansas City wheat, the December contract higher 3 3/4 from the overnight at 6.12 1/2. March up 4 cents at 6.29. May up 4 cents at 6.39. And July up 4 cents at 6.45 3/4. On the stock market this morning, the Dow down 103 at 42,710. The S&P up down 20 at 5,820. The Nasdaq down 103 at 20,360. Gold higher at $12.70 an ounce at 2,639. And crude oil up $1.41 at 74.65. If you have any questions about marketing grain or would like to talk about risk management options, give our Colorado office a call. John Hankey or John Stiles at 970-744-4484, or in our Kansas City office, myself, Thomas Ludo, Jared Law, or Tyler Ghosh at 913-748-3000.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
When challenging conditions arise, we don't back down. We up our game. Outpacing the competition with innovations fueled by Bayer's R&D, keeping you equipped with an expanded portfolio, elite genetics, and additional local test plots. Channel leads the field, so you can rise above. See how you can save at channel.com/finance24. Read and follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices.
Out here, we raise stronger people, stronger crops, and we proudly raise our flag to that. Let the weather, pests, and pressures try to beat us down. We only keep growing up. With the next-gen genetics, the pure acre-for-acre know-how of these soils, and a deep pride of our roots, we are born to raise at Hogemeyer. Learn more at therightseed.com.
Have you ever wondered what the greatest gift or legacy would be that you could leave your family when you leave this earthly world? Pre-planning your funeral is something many don't like to discuss. However, pre-planning can help relieve some stress financially and on your family when the time does come. Coons Russell Funeral Home in Goodland and Sharon Springs offer a variety of pre-arrangements and services. Just call Brian Russell and Goodland at Coons Russell Funeral Home and discuss your options today.
The only way to start your day.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
With Ross Volkmer and the Morning Blitz.
8:31 Central, 7:31 Mountain Time on a Thursday, October the 10th. As always, the FNB Bank text line is open at 785-899-222. 2222, there we go. 4 2s in there. I don't know why today, but today is a Thursday that feels like a Monday, at least to yours truly. It's a big game coming up, though, on Saturday night as the Colorado Buffaloes take on the Kansas State Wildcats, and we are pleased to be joined now by our good friend from Heartland College Sports. That'd be Joe Tillery, who joins us on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. Joe, good morning. I have to ask, Joe, I've never seen you without a hat. Is this your natural hair color?
It is not, actually. One of my girlfriend's friends was on a tirade of dyeing people's hair and came over, and I wasn't quick enough to get away. So I ended up bleaching the hair out. So they came over and were like, "Hey, do you want to dye your hair?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Not
whatever,
really.
we'll do it." So, but
Quite
it's
the
growing
look.
up soon. The sides and back are a little bit, the natural color here, but we're getting closer. Closer back to where it is.
If you trimmed or shaved that beard off, you might look a little bit like Joe Burrow a little bit,
Hey.
with those blonde tips.
That's true. I can't do that to my team. I can't do that to the Chiefs right now, so I'm going to stick away from the Joe Burrow look for a little bit if I can.
How are you feeling about your Chiefs so far through these first few games this season?
Obviously you should sit here at 5-0 and feel good, but obviously there are different holes and there's injuries and stuff going on. But at some point, the repetition of successful teams get it done. At some point, you have to subscribe to that ideology of, hey, until someone punches this team in the mouth, I feel like they're on that right path. It just has to be a situation of how do we get from point A to point B when we start playing I guess the Minnesota Vikings are a hot team. You get some teams in the playoffs that you're going to run into that Lamar Jackson will bounce back. Obviously, Derrick Henry off to a better start. You'll get some of these teams down the road. How you look then when those teams are hitting their strides as well.
Who do you think's the biggest threat to Kansas City early on this season?
That's a great question. Honestly, I think there's less impressive teams in the AFC than we've seen in recent years. But I think ultimately it's probably still going to be, when it's all said and done, it's going to be the Ravens. I think they're going to be the team that gets there. I think the Bills are going to be a good football team, but I still worry about the pieces around Josh Allen a little bit here and there, even though he's played MVP football through the first 4 or 5 weeks. I would probably still say the Ravens at the moment.
Visiting with Joe Tillery, our guest here on the Morning Blitz. I'd say a huge game coming up here on Saturday night as Colorado hosts Kansas State. I saw you boys talking. I saw you talking with you and your guys, the Go Power Cat guys. You guys were all visiting on a video stream. You guys were bashing my Cornhuskers while you were talking about this game, so you should be thankful you're even on my show. But nonetheless, a big game this coming up this weekend between Colorado and Kansas State. What is the feeling like around Manhattan when it comes to this game? Even though it's a road game, it's an old Big 12, Big 8 game. What's kind of the feeling around there?
Well, first of all, I'm totally going to throw Fitz under the bus. That was his words, not mine. But
no, it was Fitz. It was. You're right. It's not Joe. It was Fitz. He is exactly right. It was Fitz who threw him under the bus. You're fine. Go ahead.
Fitz will take that. He'll be all right. But I don't know. It's interesting. Colorado coming into the season, I wasn't necessarily one of the people that were in the category of they're the worst team ever. The offensive line's horrible. Defensive line's horrible. I wasn't taking that complete approach that a lot of people have. But I do think a little bit that the national narrative has changed a little bit too fast for Colorado standing. And you look at it, when the season kicked off, this game was listed as like a 10-point spread between Kansas State and Colorado. I would argue the spread should move closer to, 6 or 7. Right now it's about 4. And I know this is a road game. I know Avery Johnson didn't look great in his limited road game experience this season, but I feel like the vibe is almost apprehensive a little bit, and it's a little bit of concern just because you know the type of talent that Travis Hunter has, that Shedeur Sanders has. And when you look at the matchup, it's not really a great matchup for either team. Colorado struggles with teams like Nebraska where they're fundamentally sound in the trenches. They've got decent skill positions, but it's good quarterback play and it's good in the trenches, good rushing attack, doing things there the right way. And Kansas State has that identity. With Colorado, Kansas State struggles with teams that can air the football out. Colorado can air the football out with the best of them. So you're going to get the best of both worlds there where both teams are flying a little bit close to the sun. So there is an error of caution in my approach to the game.
My biggest thing is and not that it's the same game or the same, whatever, it's not even the same month, but you go back to that loss at BYU, a late kick in the mountain time zone, up in the mountains. It feels kind of similar in that kind of feeling. Avery Johnson, struggling with and the entire team, honestly, struggling with turnovers. I mean, does that at all come into your guys' mind when you think about this game? Because for some reason, it comes into my mind, however big it may be.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's the turnover specifically that I think of. I think it's more just shrinking to the moment. Like, I worry almost that, maybe we propelled Avery Johnson too high. And I was kind of the front runner for this campaign, but he's still a heck of a quarterback. I just wonder if he's at the level he's going to need to be to win some of these dangerous games in hostile territory. Like with Kansas State's football team, you go as Avery Johnson goes. I know Chris Kleiman said that they go as DJ Giddens goes, but your team's not going to get the job done if Avery's turning the football over or if K-State's just not converting in the red zone. Against BYU, the first 3 possessions all end up in field goals. But I think there was that BYU game had an extra mojo jojo. Like it had a little bit of like weirdness. I don't know how to describe it. There's not an analytic for it, but that was one of the wildest turnarounds I've ever seen in a football game in a span of 6 minutes with the other team scoring 30 points. That is insane to say. I don't think that'll happen per se. I think Kansas State will have this as a closer game than it will be than it was against BYU. But I look at that Oklahoma State game. Avery Johnson bounces back with 5 passing touchdowns, becomes a Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week, or 5 touchdowns total, excuse me. The difference, though, you are at home where the fans love you and appreciate you versus on the road where they hate you and despise you. My question is that a turning point or is that more of just a springboard of, okay, good moment, we see the praise, where does he go from here versus this is the type of guy he is all the time. So we'll see what happens there.
Joe Tillery joining us from Heartland College Sports. What do you think was the biggest thing Kansas State worked on during this bye week?
Well, I think a lot of it is getting healthy. I do. I think also it's got to be secondary communication in the secondary. For whatever reason, even though Kansas State's been really, really good. I should preface that. They haven't been really, really good defensively, but they've been solid in a statistical standpoint. So they're giving up the second least rushing yards of any team in the league. They're top 5 in scoring defense, allowing just under 20 points or 18 points, whatever the case is, which is crazy when you consider the 38 they gave up to BYU. But I think it's got to be communicating in the secondary. There have been too many lapses in coverage, and for some reason, the second that a zone coverage is called, everybody in the secondary decides they're going to do something different and not talk about it. And we've seen lapses like that. And when you're playing guys like Tetro McMillan and Travis Hunter and some of these special receivers, you can't have that happen, especially against Colorado, where that is their bread and butter. I would say that it's mostly communication in the secondary, getting guys time off. I think that every time a Chris Kleiman team has a little bit of time off, I know this is not a great record that follows them after the bye, but these dudes need time away from football to get back into the swing. So I would say getting dudes healthy, getting time off, but communication in the secondary.
Boy, that just scares me. Not good. It would just scare me being a K-State fan. Well, we're not great coming out of buys, and boy, one of our weaknesses has been in the secondary against maybe one of the best wide receiving cores in the Big 12, because it's not just Travis Hunter. Jimmy Honk the Horn and all those other guys that they have there for Colorado, and a quarterback that can get them the ball. That's impressive. What would help, though, and probably will, is going to be pressure up front by the front 4.
Yeah, I think you said it, too. Kansas State tied for the league lead in sacks this season with some of the teams in the rest of the Big 12. It's about a 4-way tie at the top with 12 sacks apiece. And Kansas State traditionally hasn't been great generating pressure. Like, multiple down linemen has worked, but for the most part, they've had to send pressure from the linebackers. Austin Romaine's having a huge season, but that is truly going to be the biggest thing. If Kansas State's corners can hold for a second and then you can get pressure. That's how Nebraska won the football game, is keeping pressure on Shedeur Sanders. He's still going to gash you because he's a superstar, and he's going to get those routine or those off-schedule plays where he can scramble for 5-6 seconds and complete a pass to Horn or Hunter, Shepard, whoever's open, and then make a huge play. Those plays you're going to have to live with. But the thing that I've come back to, and I don't know if I'm selling myself or drinking the potion here, but you look at the game film. This has been weeks ago, months ago at this point. But not Colorado State, excuse me, the North Dakota State game. That identity of that team is still so bread and butter. Chris Kleiman, like they run the exact same scheme Kansas State does, but you're taking 3-star, 4-star kids from Kansas and different places around the country versus some of these kids that are walk-ons and decent athletes, but not getting the Power 5 respect they deserve coming out of high school. I think you look at that. Travis Hunter still went off for $120, $130, and 3 touchdowns and was the best player on the field, regardless of who was out there. That was still a close game down the stretch. And my thing is, if Kansas State can just be competitive in the passing game, they don't have to be incredible. Like they gave up $130 to T-Mac against Arizona. They won 31-7. If you can just keep the team out of the red zone, tighten up, hey, 20 yards and in, we got to do this, get the right way done. But that's going to be the recipe for winning. The other side of that is Colorado has that same recipe with their O-line. If they can compete, they don't have to beat Kansas State off the line of scrimmage consistently, but if they can give Shedeur Sanders a second or two, they can win this football game.
I think this game is going to be so fascinating. I really do. They're, like we talked about, the yin and the yang of both teams and how it kind of matches up. I think it's going to be so fascinating. Joe Tillery joining us on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. One thing that I've noticed about Colorado's defense they've found a way. I don't know how they've done it, but they found a way to limit opposing teams' rushing attacks. It is more difficult to run the ball against them than it was last year. They're going to face one of the best backs in the Big 12 in DJ Giddens. How do you think he fares in this game?
Well, DJ Giddens, man, I mean, Colorado's played spectacular running backs. I won't doubt that right now. RJ Harvey, special running back, UCF's rushing attack is statistically ranked higher than Kansas State, but I do think it's a different type of approach than Kansas State's. I think there's a little bit more east-west in the attack versus just north-south. And a lot of that comes from Avery Johnson. We'll talk about that in a second. But with DJ Giddens, the dude deserves so much more love nationally. But I think because he is such a quiet dude, like he has the Kawhi Leonard personality where he's not going out of the box all the time. He's just handing the ball to the reps, going back to the sideline. Doesn't talk a ton, doesn't do a ton. He gets lost in the cracks a little bit. I think he's going to be the best running back they've faced this season. I think he's going to have a big day because Kansas State's O-line, they haven't been great in pass pro, but having Avery Johnson scramble around helps. But in their rushing attack, they've been making some huge holes for DJ Giddens. You've seen it against Oklahoma State. Even against BYU, he still had a decent day. It's a little bit crazy to see the numbers he's put up, but I think he's going to fare well. And if he doesn't, then it's probably a recipe for Colorado to win this football game. But I think what helps for Avery Johnson, for DJ Giddens, and Dylan Edwards is the fact that all three of those dudes can break a play anytime. Like the difference between UCF's rushing attack and Kansas State's is the difference between KJ Jefferson being 245, 250, Cam Newton style, 6'5", huge dude, versus Avery Johnson, who has Lamar Jackson speed. It's defending a Lamar Jackson approach with a solid running back versus a Cam Newton with a solid running back, which is a little bit unfair because Cam runs like a 4.4, but it's the idea of the second they lose Avery Johnson, all hell breaks loose. The second they focus on one person, the other two step up. So I feel good about saying that there's going to be more alleys for DJ Giddens to make plays.
Once again, Joe Tillery, our guest here on the Morning Blitz, joining us on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. Take a step back, look at the Big 12 as a totality. Since this is the first time I visit you here in season, Joe, what do you think of the Big 12 here, these 5-6 games in?
Man, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful sight. I mean, if you're a college football guy, you just love watching the games. Anybody can beat anybody. Did I expect Arizona to beat 12th ranked Utah or 10th ranked Utah? No. Did I expect BYU to beat Kansas State? No. There's games like this where Oklahoma State, I didn't expect them to be 0-3 in conference play to start the season off. Kansas, same thing, is spiraling on a 1-5 overall spot. There's so many different things that have been wild cards that you love to see. Some people look at it and say, well, the league's cannibalizing itself. It's taking its top teams and dragging them down or whatever. There's going to be a 3-loss champion. At some point, we just have to look at the football product. Is it entertaining? And 9 times out of 10, every game in the Big 12 is entertaining. And it's just fun to see. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. That's why there is a bit of caution with this Colorado-Kansas State game is being a favorite does not matter at all. I read a stat the other day from one of my buddies at HCS, and it's underdogs in the Big 12 this season are 10-9 against the spread, and they're like, whatever it is, 9-11 outright or something like that, by multiple point underdogs. And it's just crazy to see that anybody can win. So it is truly the most exciting league in college football.
Yeah, no doubt it is. I would think we would both say that Kansas is the biggest surprise when it comes to the Big 12. Who else is maybe a big surprise in the Big 12, whether it's good or bad?
I think, for me, positively, I would say that Texas Tech's been kind of a surprise because you think back, 3 weeks ago, week 2, they're giving up 50 points to Abilene Christian.
Yeah, that was not good.
Their defense can't stop anybody. It's a screen door on a submarine. There's nothing happening there. And you look at it, Texas Tech, I thought was definitely going to go, 0 for their first 3 games there, 1-2 their first 3 games there. That's definitely a surprise to see that they're somewhat bounced back. I think they're still yet to be fully tested. I think Sorsby for Cincinnati is a great quarterback, and that team can be good, but they're still waiting a little bit more of a top end threat, I would say. Another surprise for me has been Arizona State. I think Kenny Dillingham's squad, I think everybody kind of gave them the Houston aspect of, hey, they're probably not going to win many games this year. They're still rebuilding. They lost Jaden Rashada. They lost a couple guys here and there. They did a solid job. They promoted a guy, Sam Levitt, coming up to the starting quarterback. He's been a solid quarterback. I think he's been a crazy turn of events for them. They've got some good opportunities there on Arizona State's team. Cincinnati you could mention, but I think overall it's probably Texas Tech right now.
Yeah, no doubt. Been a very, very interesting year. And like I said, the product is great. How much do you think possibly, because you're playing great games every single week, it might actually benefit when a team gets to the college football playoff because they know how to play in these tight games every single week?
Well, I think you look at it like college basketball does a little bit. The Big 12 is the best conference in America. Nobody's disputing that. You have 10 tournament teams every year, it feels like. When you play all of these intense games and intense road environments, intense home environments in the Big 12 conference, in basketball, you get to March Madness, you know how to win close games. Jerome Tang, whatever it is, 9-0 in his career in overtime, which is still a ridiculous stat. But these teams know how to win close games. In football, it's the same aspect. It's different, but it's the same aspect where the fans are going to be packed. I mean, there's an exception to maybe Houston. Obviously, now coming off a big win, that'll change things a little bit here and there. But there's a couple of stadiums you don't get to that are crazy packed. But it's not like you're going to a Stanford game. Every single time you go to these games, it's packed fans, screaming audiences, offense, defense, whatever the case is. The Big 12 is just a motivated conference, I would say. And I think when you get to that next spot, like say you play, an 11 seed Virginia Tech or whatever the case is, or whoever's going to win the ACC. I don't know what the case. I guess that'd be, whoever's an at-large from the ACC if there is one. Those teams are going to have less time competing against some of these Big 12 teams. Like Miami would probably be the one that, runs away with everything. But the next tier of those dudes, if anybody makes the CFP as an at-large bid, I don't have the confidence in them to say, okay, they'll beat an Iowa State team. They'll beat a Kansas State. They'll beat a Colorado potentially. There's a ton of different teams in that conversation. But I feel like the Big 12 overall has that chip in their pocket.
He once again is Joe Tillery from Heartland College Sports. Joe, great hair, great times. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, buddy. We will catch up soon, okay? Enjoy this great weekend of college football ahead.
Thank you, brother. You too. Good luck to your Huskers here.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to enjoy this bye week and not have any stress, okay? I'm going to enjoy it.
Got to go 1-0 in the bye week.
That's right. Hopefully. That sounds good. Thanks, Joe. See you, buddy. Once again, great stuff there from Joe Tillery, Heartland College Sports. Always great stuff from Joe. Love having him on. Got a lot of great information there. And, boy, we really kind of dove deep into that game between Kansas State and Colorado. And, boy, that is going to be a doozy of a game, isn't it? Boy, I just the matchups, like you said, that secondary that has struggled a little bit for Kansas State against one of the best wide receiving quarterback units in the Big 12. A fascinating matchup there. Can Kansas State run the ball on Colorado? Teams have struggled a little bit in that area, but K-State always seems to find a way to run the football. I just think we're getting and that atmosphere is going to be electric. I think it's just going to be a really, really fun and exciting game coming up on Saturday night there in Boulder. Okay, let's get to a break. We'll come back and we will get you an update on what happened last night in Major League Baseball's postseason. One team has already moved on. There's still some winner-take-all games. There's still some teams alive, but they need something to go right here tonight. We'll get to that next here on the Morning Blitz.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery, ingestion, and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Hi, it's Andrew Hoiberg from Calcium Products. Rapidly correct and maintain your soil pH with 98G pelletized limestone to protect your fertilizer investment. Applying 98G at 200 pounds per acre provides a 9.4 bushel increase on corn and a 3.1 bushel increase on soybeans. Ask your agronomist about applying 98G pelletized limestone this fall and learn more at calciumproducts.com.
The Farmers State Bank of Oakley has been financing agriculture since the day we opened our doors. Hello, this is Corbin, and we are proud to be your locally owned partner in ag. We invite you to come and visit with us when you need to purchase new or used farm equipment, or need any type of agriculture or business loan. We have the knowledge, experience, and financial resources to keep you growing. The Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community and agriculture for over 115 years. Member FDIC.
The one hail of a sale continues at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Get huge savings on not just lightly hailed on vehicles, but also ones that don't have hail or have had the hail fixed. For example, a 24 GMC Sierra 1500 Denali with no hail up to $7,000 off when you're a loyal Buick or GMC owner, now just over $68K. A 24 Chevy Tahoe RST with hail up to $14,000 off, now just $58K. It's one hail of a sale, and it continues at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Online at hurlchev.com.
No one rambles on better than Ross Volkmer.
All you do is talk.
On the Morning Blitz.
About 8 minutes left to go here on a Thursday show. Glad you could join us here on the Morning Blitz. Thanks again to Joe Tillery for joining us on the program. Great stuff from him from Heartland College Sports. MLB's postseason. Yesterday, 4 games. Only one of them results in a team clinching on to the next round. That'd be the New York Mets with a 4-1 win over the Philadelphia Phillies. Two interesting. First of all, the play of the game, or the hit of the game, was Francisco Lindor's grand slam in the bottom of the 6th. You heard the highlight on the well, here, we'll just play it again for you. The highlight of the grand slam that pretty much won the game for the Mets.
The 2-1. Lindor towards right center field. This one is back. It is gone! Grand slam, and Lindor puts the Mets on top. The biggest swing of the season for New York.
So there you go. The Mets take the 4-1 win over the Phillies, who just never got the big hits like they had gotten in previous years, it feels like, in these situations. Mets win the series 3-1. Two different deals here. Philadelphia, I think for a lot of people, including our good friend Dan Lucero, thought that was his World Series pick. A lot of people thought that, to be honest with you. And why not? They've got a great pitching staff. They've got great bats, but they just did not hit when it mattered the most. And right now, the Mets are just one of those teams that is just completely white hot. Anybody remember when the season began? I had to look this back up last night. When the season began, the Mets started 0-5. And the crowd there at Citi Field where the Mets play, it was pretty much completely empty. It looked like what the season was like at the end for the White Sox. Maybe a total of 100 fans there in that humongous stadium. And now, of course, it's an electric environment. The turnaround for the Mets this year has been amazing. This is not the most talented Mets team by any way, shape, or form. Heck, they had way more talented teams the previous years. They had to get rid of a bunch of guys because they were spending too much money. Now they've got the right combination of guys, and it's resulting in a deep playoff run. Right now, they win that series 3-1. Earlier in the day, the Tigers shut out the Guardians 3-0. This Johnny Holstaff pitching staff, when it's not Turek Skubal, the Tigers find a way to get it done, shut down the Cleveland Guardians, and they get just enough offense to win 3-0. Detroit takes a 2-1 lead. Once again, this team is hot. I think we're going to possibly see them move on to the ALCS. They are just a win away. That game, number 4, is today. with a first pitch time of 5:08 Central, 4:08 Mountain Time. You can watch that game on TNT. Of course, the one that everyone worries about the most in these parts, and understandably so, the Royals and the Yankees. The Yankees win 3-2. The play of the game was a Giancarlo Stanton solo shot in the top of the 8th inning.
High fly ball, deep left field. Back goes Melendez. Forget about it. It's gone. In large part, this night has belonged to Giancarlo Stanton, and he gives the Yankees the lead, 3-2 in the 8th.
Costas was right there. It was the night for Giancarlo Stanton. 3 for 5 with 2 RBI, including that solo shot and a run scored. That broke a 2-all tie after the Royals tied it up in the bottom of the 5th with a couple of runs. There was an exciting triple by Michael Massey to tie the ball game up. But from that point forward, the Yankees got the hit. Chris Bubic gives up that long ball to Giancarlo Stanton. Other than that, the bullpen was really good for Kansas City. They, besides Seth Lugo, who went 5 innings, gave up 2 runs, did walk 4. That's an issue. It's been an issue for the Royals pitching here in this postseason. It's been the walks, the free bases issued. But the rest of the bullpen, which was 6 guys, started by Zerpa. Zerpa gave up a hit, and Bubic gave up a hit. Just 2 hits allowed the rest of the way. I mean, the Yankees won this game with 4 hits. Kansas City out-hit them. But just the bigger hit from Giancarlo Stanton was the difference. Kansas City has another chance to try and stay alive. They have a chance to stay alive tonight. They got to win. Otherwise, the Yankees will advance. That game is tonight there at the K. That is a 7:08 Central, 6:08 Mountain Time first pitch. You've got Michael Wacha going up against Garrett Cole. That's a tall task to try to overcome there in Garrett Cole. But we'll see. Maybe there's some Royals magic left to try and keep this season alive. And finally, late last night in the nightcapper, the Dodgers blow out the Padres 8-0. They just hammered away in the first 3 innings, scoring 5 runs. They got another 3 runs in the top of the 7th. They went Johnny Holstaff and held that pretty potent Padres offense and that electric environment down. Just 7 hits allowed by the Dodgers pitching staff. And Mookie Betts, who was it? I want to get these right. Mookie Betts, Will Smith, and Gavin Lux, all with home runs to help power the Dodgers to an 8-0 lead. And now that series returns to L.A., and that will resume on Friday with a winner-take-all Game 5 Friday night between the Padres and the Dodgers to see who advances and moves on to take on the Mets in the NLCS.
Run, walk-off, home run, a game-winning walk-off with a walk-off.
His second walk-off hit of the season.
In walk-off fashion, that baby's go.
Mentioned it earlier in the show, but tonight, little Thursday night football for you. You've got Geno Smith and the Seahawks taking on Brock Purdy and the 49ers to kick off Week 6 here in the NFL. As always, that's on Amazon's Prime Video. Of course, just mentioned Royals must win tonight against the Yankees in Game 4. First pitch at 7 o'clock Central Time. You can watch it on TBS, or, of course, your home for the Royals locally is AM 790 KXXX. And a good day of local sports as well. Colby and Oakley cross country going to Peaburg for an invitational. And then you've got plenty of volleyball. Hoxie, Trigo, and Peaburg in a triangular. Golden Plains will host a triangle with Wallace County and Weskin. Decatur Community going to Trigo. Oakley has a try with Heartland Christian and Smith Center. And Goodland, the Cowgirls at home, hosting Colby and Scott City for a GWAC triangular on what is Pink Out Night. As you can see, got my pink on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. We'll have coverage of those matches for the Goodland Cowgirls as they take on the Eagles and the Lady Beavers, teams they've lost to already this season, but who knows? Maybe second time around, be able to get it done. Cowgirls did push Colby to 3 sets when they played them last time. But we'll have coverage on Rocket 1025, beginning a little bit after 3 o'clock Mountain Time with first serve set for 3:30 with match number 1 against the Scott City Lady Beavers. So make sure you tune on in if you can't make it to the Max Jones Fieldhouse. That'll do it for our show today. Thanks again to Joe Tillery of Heartland College Sports. Thanks to you for tuning on in. We'll see you back here again tomorrow in 23 hours for a Football Friday. And, of course, talking Colby Goodland football and what'll be a massive game here in Goodland tomorrow. Have a good, everybody. See you on the Blitz.
Rocket 1025 is KKCI, Goodland, Colby, Burlington.